Hi, I'm Johnny, and welcome to the Safety Sparks podcast. Had a fire or someone was hurt. This is someone's business that now can't trade. With our training, we've shown you how to avoid these fire incidents. Someone must have gone out of their way to put fake smoke detectors in all these rooms. Mental. So if there was a fire in any of them rooms, there's no one would ever have known. Hi, I'm Johnny, and welcome to the Safety Sparks podcast. This is sponsored by Crusader Fire, which is fire protection in the northeast of England. So on this episode, we'll be going through when the company was founded, where we are today, changes in the industry, and if we've got any questions, we'll save that to the end. So this company was started in 2000, and basically it was run by my father, and he basically did fire extinguishers. So that's sales service. We'd just go around the northeast and we'd attend, we'd service, we'd sell extinguishers. And then we slowly branched out and did a little bit of dry riser testing. And then about 8 years ago, I took over and we looked at the picture and said, look, we've got 2 members of staff here. Why don't we do everything? Why don't we do fire alarms? Why don't we do fire risk assessments? Let's get a few specialists in. Let's train them or train our staff that we've got, and let's scale to the as big as we can get. So he retired 8 years ago, and we've since branched out, and now there's 11 of us that are tackling the northeast, trying to get fire protection throughout the whole of the northeast, trying to keep everyone up to date with the latest legislation. So when I took over the business, it was basically engineer focused because there was lack of engineers. There was only me and my dad, and then we had a part-time guy as well. So then I took over, and it was basically do as much work as we possibly could. Then I had to learn the admin side, and then it was like I knew the engineering side through and through. I've been doing it for 10 years, so I knew everything about it. It was the whole running the business side, which was didn't come naturally for me, but I love people and I love the industry. So any challenges I face, I seem to go head on. I seem to fall into it forward, and I love to start getting obsessed over fire, really. And so then I started going on courses and sort of build my knowledge. And then what I really decided is, what more can I do to the customers, and how can I make this small team a big team whilst helping everyone within Newcastle? So that's the nuts and bolts of it, and that's why I think I'm here today. I feel like there was a moment where I was getting very stressed, and there was a lot of work needed doing, and I couldn't get it all done. I took more people on, and I was still struggling. I thought, right, is it all worth it? And then I realized this is all just growth. I was like, from here, we're going to expand massively. It's either what they say, sink or swim. So do I close the company? Do I sell up? Do I try and grow so we be the biggest in the country? So I've gone the latter and try to go as big as we possibly can. And where we are today, we're going to quadruple this in the next 10 years. So our company culture is we want to spread everything around the company. So if someone's got a problem in a job, we want everyone to chip in and help each other out. We want everyone to sort of, if someone else sees a problem with someone else's work, we pick it up straight away, because we want to grow as a company. We're not about this guy did this guy did this. We want to be the best in the industry, so we need to promote that. So any problems, we have like a WhatsApp group where everyone, if there's any faults or jobs or anything, we send it around and we get that rectified quite quick. So then we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. So with that, we want to be, when we try to find new employees, I feel like you can get anyone can do any job. You can train them, and then that's great. No, that's not what we want. We want the person. So we want the perfect person for the job, who understands the culture of what more can we do? How can we expand? How can we move forward? We don't want just someone who can turn up and do 9 to 5. That's not really our way. And the people who've got along the way, they've all seen this vision, and they've all grown with it. Like, we want our guys to stay as long as possible. If someone's out the door with less than 12 months, that's them. Over that, you're talking like 6-7 years. So that's the gap. You either in it and don't understand, and you're out, or you're up there for like 6-7 years. That's the most engineers are. I think one of the most difficult time was COVID, to be honest, because all of our work is business to business. So with most of the businesses closed, we we struggle to facilitate that. But we also had, so I furloughed all the staff, but we also had big companies that had to be done, but then we had no staff, so it meant a lot of hours for me and a lot of hours for the guys who weren't furloughed, which was very tricky. But we've came out the other side, and I think because we were working all the way through, because obviously being a key worker, we took loads of work off other companies who weren't there. So we grew quite a lot. It was challenging at first, and the cash flow was a problem. But then we because we kept powering through, working all hours, we then basically grew quite a lot on the way out of COVID. I feel like the way this hit home for me was I've been to a few jobs where they've had a fire or someone was hurt or something along that lines, and it just, for me, it always just hits. I go, well, this is someone's business that now can't trade over like something small and trivial. You're talking about something that they didn't do, which probably could have cost 50 quid. And then now they're not trading, and now they're losing thousands. It's, for me, so then we try and go around saying, well, look, we try and provide the most comprehensive service for the lowest price, the most competitive price rather, so that we can make sure people don't go down this route. So then they don't have to shut down. They don't get to the point where, oh, there's a fire and now we're here. We want to get to the point where, oh, there's no chance of that fire happening because of there's no negligence. It's just with our training, we've shown you how to avoid these fire incidents, really. So this shouldn't be happening. So we're trying to stop it. We're not trying to go, oh, we can sell you this, and this, and this. We're trying to prevent it so you don't need all the extra equipment. That's all. So we're like, our whole plan is if we come out and do a survey, a risk assessment survey, we can tell you what to put in place so this doesn't happen, rather than coming in retrospectively trying to sell you loads of equipment which you don't need. So the long-term goal for Crusader is to slowly creep into being national, but we're still holding the local brand. So at the moment we are, I would say, unbelievably reliable. We can come out same day, next day. We can fix most problems whilst being on site, if not parts. Otherwise we'll come back the next day to fix. But we want to facilitate that across the whole of the country, because how many people have national contracts where they don't know when they're coming, they cost a fortune, this, that, and the other, where if we can grow slowly but thoroughly throughout the whole country, we can facilitate that at a better service than what the big national companies are at the moment. I know we can. I feel like my personal goals for this company is that all the engineers want to work here and they want to be part of this team, so that it's not work. They're basically come to play out with their friends. They come to socialise. They're doing what they love to do. Because we always have chats, we always have meetings to say, is there anything we can do to improve us as a team? Is there anything that we don't get along with? Can we have more events? Can we do more things? So that it's not like, oh, I've got to go to work. It's like, oh, I'll get in, I get to see all my friends again. We'll get to do all this whilst delivering a good service to the customers. Because all our engineers are personable people. So we try and put the message out there that we're trying to do more for you, and that end goal is to fix your problems. I think why people choose us is because we've got, I would say, a slightly larger team than the average. Because this is like, I would say, the fire industry, it's started up as like an old man shop, really. Because they started up saying like they work for a big company, and then they went on the tools and they started up on their own, and then they've sort of brought people on. But it's always ran, I would say, from my experience, it's always ran from that point of view. It's not ran from let's like a young head, basically a young head on our old shoulders, where we could drive through all the new technologies to deliver faster, quicker, more efficient services, more comprehensive services to all of our customers. Where most people will go, oh yeah, I can do the job, right, I'll just crack on. Where we're like, why, we can do the job, yes, but can we do it better? But how do we do it better? Can we go on more courses? If our guys can go on courses every year or even twice a year, then they're gonna have more expertise. They could save time and money at a job by immediately telling a customer that they don't need something, or they could save money by doing this, this, and this, rather than, yeah, we're gonna sell you everything because we don't know. That's what we wouldn't do. So by us trying to expand on our knowledge, we're trying to deliver a more comprehensive service. So that means when you're on site, when we're on site, and a customer says, "Oh, can I do this? Do I need this extra thing here? how often do these get tested? We've all got the knowledge to go there. It's not like, oh, I'll get back to you on that, or oh, I don't know, or even worse, give the wrong advice. So that's why we try and deliver a better, more comprehensive service. And then function this with technology. We have apps and we'll have devices on hand where everything we're putting in, it's sort of keeping the data right. So then it's feeding our office and it's feeding the then result in the certificates. So then that means if you ever need copies or anything, it's all just at the fingertips. It's not, you're not chasing around looking for paper, nothing like that. So with us as well, I'd say we're a bit different to other companies, rightly or wrongly. But when a new installation comes across, we try and get that finished and across the line as fast as possible. So if we can, we'd like to work around the clock. So that's night shift, early morning, anything that we can facilitate and that you can facilitate too. So then that means your work's not being disrupted. Because if you can imagine, you've got an office block and we're trying to put fire alarm system in there. We can't be climbing over people and we can't be running cables through. So we would prefer to work earlier and later, which means every day you're going to work, there's no one there. And then by the end of the week, it's finished. So obviously we can still work around you. It's not like that. But if we try and do the best we can so that it doesn't interrupt your day of working. We also try and get as many people on each job per possible. So if we have an installation, we could put one man on it for 2 weeks or one man on it for a week, but we try and get like 4 men on it for 2 days or 3 days and just get it done so fast and efficiently by getting as many people as we can, so that you're not left with this job just dragging on and dragging on and dragging on, which I've spoken to other companies where they're on jobs for months, and I just for me, I just can't understand it, because it's bad for us and it's bad for yourself. So there's been a few sites where we've gone to do a fire alarm survey to install a new system, and they've got a system that's been half done. So we'll go there and we'll say, oh, what's going on? They say, oh, someone turned up and they just did half a job and left. And every other company since has come out and said, right, we need to rip that all out, we need to start from fresh. But we looked at it and thought, well, we could use some of this. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but surely it's going to be less constraints on the customer's time if we can figure out how it's done, where's the cable cut, where the problems are, and rectify it without starting to pull holes in ceilings and basically costing the customer more money. Yeah, it'll cost us more time, but then the job's going to look better. So then again, we're providing something that other companies are going, we're not going to do that, because I think we could salvage and repair a job to a better standard than the other companies would run a new system in. It might take longer, but then it's less disruption for the customer. With regards of fault finding, problems with fire alarms, things like that, we turn up within 24 hours of the fault, and we have not come across a fault we can't fix yet. Other companies have spent hours, days. We don't charge by the hour. We'll come out and we'll a fixed price for half a day, and if we can't fix it in the half a day, then we'll come back and talk about another price, because we guarantee we'll be able to fix every fault. Most companies charge by the hour for fault finding, and I think this is because I don't think most people know how to fix faults. So they go there, and for the first hour they're scratching their head, where we've seen multiple faults throughout loads of systems on the Northeast. So when we turn up to fix a fault, with our knowledge and expertise, we can fix it, I would say, a lot faster than most other companies. So we're not going to charge you by the hour. It's a fixed price for half a day at least. I said we won't charge by the hour. So we could be there 10 minutes and it'll save you a fortune. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some of the problems we've faced in the industry with what we've seen when we're out and about. So like what isn't a standard, and what you might have come across and think, is this right? Because this doesn't feel right. So this is just a couple of stories that we've come across. So there's this one company that they rung us up and they said, oh, can you come service extinguishers? So we came out and we said, oh, have you just got them? And they said, no, we've had them for a few years. We've got them off the internet. So we're like, oh, right, okay. Well, you're supposed to have them initially serviced when you buy them to make sure that they're okay. That's the standard procedure. If you're putting them in a place of work, they're supposed to be serviced so that you know that they're fit for that place of work. So we went out, and they're on the internet. They're not even certified to this country. They're not tight. They're loose. They're the wrong types. They're plastic bodies rather than metal. They're not fixed to the walls. So basically, in any of these problems with any of these extinguishers, if you use them, if you use these extinguishers, you're going to hurt yourself. So heaven forbid, the worst happens and there is a fire and you grab one of these extinguishers, which is the wrong type because no one's put the right type in because you just bought them off the internet. You then go to use them. They aren't tight, so they spurt out or blow up on your hand, causing injury, and then you're now injured in the event of a fire as well. So the price of servicing an extinguisher is pennies compared to the price of putting sort of a claim right if someone's hurt, or even potentially losing your business, or even just stop trading for a while for just to get these extinguishers right. So with the increase of lithium batteries, which are now everywhere, and everyone's got the big hype because there came across don't know if anyone had seen it a few months ago, where like to put out a lithium fire is quite a big deal. So the fire brigade recommend that if a lithium battery sets alight, it must be fully submerged in water, and I think that there's the burn time is something like 7 days. So there's new extinguishers coming out. There's a lot of extinguishers come out through the years, but the new ones are they're like a lithium X specialist for the extinguishers, for the specialist for the batteries. And what they do is they come out as like a gel. So there is like a thick gel which smothers the battery, or smothers the laptop, or smothers whatever the lithium battery is, and encases it. And the theory is it encases the item, which then just stops there for about a week, and then you can use it, because lithium burns at such a high temperature. It's not possible to put out with water or your standard extinguishers. We currently have negotiations with a new supplier which can supply these extinguishers at a fraction of the price of all the other extinguishers, because as you can imagine, a new extinguisher is going to be a fortune. But with our supplier and our long track record, we have now got the prices at a very low competitive rate. So fire alarms, we attended a site and they said the fire brigade have come out and they're not happy because they can't find the fire alarm panel. So we attended site thinking obviously we'll be able to trace where the panel is. We take down one detector and there's no cables whatsoever. So this means that someone has just screwed a smoke detector to a ceiling in every one of the rooms. And this was a hotel. So not only did the hotel have no cover whatsoever, someone must have gone out of their way to put faked smoke detectors in all these rooms. Just go, this will cover the fire brigade. And it's just mental. So if there was a fire in any of them rooms, there's no one would ever have known, ever. So some of you might be aware that the legislation changed for fire risk assessments. It used to be that if you had 5 or more people or you sold alcohol, you would have to get a risk assessment. Less than that, you could just do it in your head and it didn't have to be written down anywhere. But now it's changed, so now you have to have it written down and you have to have it by a competent person. So whether that's yourself and you feel competent, if not, if you get a specialist out, they can deliver this. Also in October, there was legislation came out about holiday lets, which I'm sure if you're a holiday owner, you'd be very grudging about. That they brought this out basically because there was people turning garages or even single rooms into holiday lets where people were staying there. And if you think about, it's great if you're Airbnb, if you're staying somewhere and it's cheaper and it's easier, but you've got to remember people are staying somewhere where they're not familiar with. So if you've got a big house and you're renting an Airbnb and there's a fire breaks out, how are they going to know? Because if it's your dwelling, you know the way out, you know where the kitchen is, things like that. But if you're staying somewhere else and the owner's not there, how would they get out? If in a panic, it's pitch black, there's a fire, what do we do? So this is why the legislation came out, to prevent this. So that means that you had to put in smoke detectors in most of the rooms, you had to put emergency lights in if the house was quite big, signs how to get out, which in some situations that does seem like overkill, but it's to protect the bigger houses. So the smaller houses, there's not really much you can do there, not really you have to do, but the bigger houses, you're going to need fire doors, you're going to need smoke detection, you're going to need extinguishers in some case, because if you think about it, the bigger the house, it's more falls into the hotel category. So with this legislation, it's changed so that everyone's protected, which means the common person who wants to stay in these places is now, the risk's dramatically lowered because they've got the means of escape, they've got the ways of detecting and inventing a fire, and then they've got fire doors to keep them secure for at least 30 minutes. So when that change came in, I don't think anyone was aware of it really, because it's not like it's broadcasted on the news, or it's not like, it's normally like Peter told Paul and Betty told someone else to get this round. Where if you had a fire company where you got your extinguishers or your fire alarm maintained, they should be telling you of the changes in any legislation. So in October, when this came out, obviously we got an influx of fire risk assessments everywhere, all these holiday lets, and you couldn't believe how bad of a state some of them were in. So basically the open plan living, which came out, I don't know, like 10 years ago, what have you, where it's remove all your walls, let's have this nice open living where everyone can just sort of like, it's like everyone can just live, cohabit with each other in such a big space. But the reason the walls are there in the first place is for building control, because building control state that you need to protect yourself from fire. That's more or less the reason why these walls are put in the first place. So people removed these walls, and now we are going to carry on these risk assessments saying that you either need to reinstate the wall or somehow get around this. So the only way you can get around to putting extra walls or fire doors in is fire suppression. So fire suppression, what it does is it sits within the kitchen or the hob, and it will, in the event of a fire, it will burst and it will suppress any fire within the hob, which eradicates that hob from that room. So if you take a hob out of a kitchen, you've effectively just got a room. So then you can, if you've just got a room, you can happily have people run through it. It's not a high risk room anymore because you've removed the risk of that room. So with the open plan living, it's great, but it causes a lot of problems, and a lot of people have done the risk assessment and the hololets themselves, and they're not aware of this because they're not a competent person. So by them doing it themselves, they're sort of ticking all the boxes to say, oh yeah, this is done, yes, this is done. But then in the event of a fire, it's still very dangerous, because in the event of a fire in a kitchen and someone's on the first floor, and the kitchen's the only way of getting out, they've got to effectively run through a fire to get out, and which you obviously can't do. So holiday lets, they've never had to make any changes for years, because why would they? They don't have to. No one's enforcing it, and why they don't know that they need to. Since this legislation's passed, they know now that they have to do this, and they think, well, they'll be all right. We've never had any visits of the fire brigade, so the fire brigade are doing a lot more visits per year now because there's less fires. They have more time. I think there's more fire officers now than there is firemen. So the fire officers are now going around and they are surveying buildings and telling them that they're not right, or they're going, have you got a risk assessment? Have you got all these things in place? And when you haven't, they can shut you down, or they can go, right, you've got 6 weeks, you've got a week to get all this put right. Otherwise you're not trading. Even worse, if you have an accident, or if there is a fire, your insurance won't pay out, because your insurance will say, oh, have you had a fire risk assessment done? Oh, is it up to the latest standard of holiday lets? No. Oh, it's going to go down that route, so it has to be right. So my team is one of the biggest reasons that I get up in the morning. How can we be more of a team? How can we do stuff more together? How can we build this company together? How can we grow together? I speak to them probably every single day, and I would say, is there anything I can do? Is there anything we can do as a company? We also have meetings every month to say, like, is there anything that you think as an industry we can get better at? Is there anything you've seen that you're quite shocked at, that we can sort of go, right, that's shocking. How can we do the complete opposite of that and make it better for the customer? Or even jobs we've come across where it's been a nightmare. How can we put it right quicker? How can we deliver a better service? So this is what we talk about every month. And I think it's the biggest part of the company, the team, and it's so important, the culture of the company. We try and do every 3 months, we try and do like a team building exercise, whether that's paintball and go-karting, whether that's just drinks, whether we go axe throwing, whether we go anything, just so we can bond as a team. So if there's any problems, we go, oh, I wasn't happy with this happened, right, let's get that sorted. I know every member of my team can ring another member and go, oh, this happened, like, come get this sorted. There's not any animosity, there's nothing that's causing a divide. It's just, let's grow together. What can we do? How do we get better? Our main focus is like, of everything that we do is to just get better in the industry. If we can better the industry, then the customer's only to gain. One of our charities is Tiny Lives, so we give back to Tiny Lives. We try and do like events as well, where it is for charity. So Tiny Lives cover premature babies, and I think the main reason we use Tiny Lives is everyone who works for the company's got children, so they understand how horrendous this could be if there was a problem when they are premature. So this is quite a big focus for us, and we want to do as much as we possibly can to grow that charity. So we try and give them as much as we possibly can. And then looking forward to the future, we want to do massive event days where we're talking hundreds of people gather and everything goes towards this charity. That's the goal for the charities. So every podcast, we're going to try and get as many questions as we can answered. So if you have any questions, just send them in or make a comment below and we'll try and get answered. So this question's from Steve. So hello, Steve. What is the most common causes of fire in the business? Most common cause for fire in the business? Well, it first of all depends on the business. So majority of businesses it is electrical. So it's like overloading plugs, or people think that one double socket you can have an extension, another extension all the way around rather than putting new sockets in. You can't. This is the many causes of a fire. Also, portable appliances. How many people have bought appliances online, or have bought like dodgy chargers from somewhere online, and it's came, you plugged it in, you think, ooh, that's a bit hot. It's not supposed to be. If something's very hot, when that's not its main purpose, like a heater, it's using a lot of energy. So when something's very hot, it generates the energy, which then if you've got 3 or 4 plugs right next to each other, which are all very hot, they're going to combine and be a dramatic heat, and it's going to melt. And that's where you get the problems. If you carry out regular PAT testing, which is portable appliance testing, it'll dramatically lower this risk. But that is one of the main causes of fire. In restaurants and hotels, it goes down to the kitchen, to be honest. So it's cooking facilities, whether people aren't leaving them on, people are overcooking, people are putting stuff in and it's burning, it's setting alight. That's where the second major fires are. From Gerald, what are the benefits of installing a suppression system? So the benefits of installing a suppression system, whether that's for electronics, because you could simply put it in like a server room. So you can have a one that'll cover a computer server. So in the event of a fire, this kicks in immediately, which means it's not spread anywhere. Your fire alarm system hasn't gone off. It's just solely put that fire out. And that could be like, it could just be smoldering, which means the risk for the rest of the building is gone. They don't even have to know. You just have to install one of them, get a buzz through the laptop or link to the panel, and then you can go, right, there's a fire in there, that's been put out, okay, we don't even ring the fire brigade, we can just get that sorted. Or there's a full suppression system which you would put in like a kitchen or like in a hob. So in the event of a fire in a hob, it would come up, the suppression system would burst and cover the whole hob. So if you can imagine in a big restaurant, you're going to have like 6 or 7 appliances all throughout this hob. In the event of a fire, you're not waiting for your staff to get an extinguisher out to start tackling the fire. This suppression just kicks in and fully submerges the fire. And a suppression system can't be installed unless it's possible to extinguish the whole fire. So you think like, oh, will that definitely work? It has to work. That's what it's designed for. So you will never have to rely on someone putting out that fire, because that suppression system will 100% do that. That's what they're supposed to do. Also, the benefits of a suppression system is, if you've got say you've took a wall out that separates your kitchen from your corridor, so people have to run downstairs to get through to the main exit, you could put a suppression system within that kitchen, because then by you doing that, it's the means of having another wall there. So instead of running through the kitchen to get out, which would potentially obviously a fire risk, you'd either put the wall back up, or you could put a suppression system in, which will then it will put out the fire in the kitchen so you can escape safely. This one's from Linda. So, what does fire insurance typically cover, and how do I know if my cover is adequate? So, a lot of people don't know this, but your insurance for your building, a lot of in the terms and conditions, it stipulates that you've got to have all your fire extinguishers, your fire alarm, all your appliances tested. This is like EICR for your electrics. This is your PAT testing for your portable appliances. If you don't have these all tested, they won't pay out. So, I would check with the insurers first of all and ask what they need, because if they need all these certificates and you've never carried them out, then the insurance is null and void. Having all these in place, it means that you are covered. So in the event of a fire does happen and you've got all these things in place, if you've put all these things in place, the fire should be very minimal, but then they will pay out to replace this because you've got all your certificates in place. So Richard, what are the fire safety regulations I need to comply with in my business? So Richard, what you need to apply with, it depends on the business, but most businesses you need a fire risk assessment, you'll need fire extinguishers if you have other members of staff there, or it's over a certain size. Fire alarms, again, if it's over basically one room, if it's more than one room, your chances are you're going to need a fire alarm system put in. Emergency lights, again, if it's bigger than one room, you will need that installed and maintained. And an EICR, which is your electrical testing. So your fuse board, that needs to be tested every 5 years. Also, your staff should be fire safety trained. Whether it's just one or two, you should maybe just do the small online course, but the bigger the company, you should definitely get a competent person to come out and train your staff on site. They go through all the regulations of what to do in the event of a fire, how you can prevent it, and how to get your staff out safely. So there's from Dean. So what are the penalties of not carrying out your fire safety regulations? So what are the penalties for non-compliance with fire regulations? If someone's hurt, you could potentially go to jail. If someone's hurt, they could also sue you. But best case scenario, if someone's not hurt and you just haven't got everything in place, the fire brigade come in or your insurers come in and they say, well, if fire brigade come in and say, right, you haven't got all these things in place, you need to cease trading today because we think this is a fire risk. So they'll shut you down instantly and say, right, that's it. This is until you get these done, you are not trading because you're a risk. You don't want they don't want the public in there, a potential fire hazard. So that's the main ones are they could be shut down, which is going to be loss of earnings, or it's going to be jail time if you've hurt someone. So this is from Wendy. What do I need to do once I've had a fire? If you've had a fire and the fire brigade have been out and they've sort of shut you down and said, like, look, we've put this out, you need to put everything in place. If the insurance is going to pay out, great. They'll probably give you a list of people to contact. If not, you need to basically start from fresh. You need to get a sort of a solicitor to find out if there's any blame at your end. You need to find a local provider who can replace all your fire equipment, who can install the emergency lights and the put the ICR, put the fuse board right. And then you need to put maintenance contracts in place so that going forward, this doesn't happen again, because best will in the world, everything's been great and you haven't hurt anyone and there's just been a small contained fire. You then now go on the fire brigade's radar. So in the event of a fire, they will revisit because you're classed high risk. Because you've already had a fire, they'll be revisiting more frequently. So if you put maintenance contracts in place, it's just less stress that you need because you know that everything's ticking over and it's going the way it should. So this is from Dave. How often should fire drills be carried out in the workplace? So this depends completely on the business. So if I would start with every 6 months, which you then could drop to a year if you get no problems and everyone is out within 3 minutes. If you then have problems, I would scale that right back and do it monthly or weekly until you have no problems. Because the reason you carry out a fire drill is to identify any problems. Did everyone come out safe? They didn't hear the fire alarm? Why didn't they hear the fire alarm? All right, someone was left in the building. Why were they left in? Was it because they didn't know the way out, or was it they didn't know there was a fire drill? Or most people will think the fire alarm going off is a drill. So you should always be doing surprise drills, and you should be doing where you block an exit, just more enhanced features of fire drills. But I would say the best thing to do is press the fire alarm and watch what people do, because that will shock you more than doing the drill itself. This one's from Paul. So how can I help my employees with disabilities during a fire emergency? So basically, I would advise that you should get all your employees fire safety trained so they know what to do in the event of a fire. If you are the fire warden and you've been trained to do so, how to get disabled people out of the building should be part of the training. So whether that's if there's stairs, whether you need evacuation chairs, or if it's simply just the mobility impaired, so there could be it could be deaf, they could be blind. You should always have personal evacuation plans in place with these people so that you know how to get them out. So as soon as they come in, as soon as you have an employee work for you that has one of these disabilities, you need to put things in place, whether that's you would have them buddy systems, so someone's always with them, whether you would always have them working on the ground floor rather than the first floor, and then you'd have someone who the fire marshal would have to go to them first to get them out, or whether you have them have a pendant if they are hard of hearing, or a light on the desk if they're hard of hearing, or a vibrating pendant if they're deaf. So all of these things you would have in place, but the main thing that you would need is your staff trained so they know to go to these people first, because there should be a register or a list of where these people are and how to get them out. So realistically, if you've got someone in your building with a disability, you need to know that you can get them out before you get them in. So this one's from Claudia. How often should fire extinguishers be inspected? So fire extinguishers should be inspected every year. BS 35306. So what we do is we'll come out, we'll inspect the extinguishers, we'll make sure they're in the right places, we'll make sure they've got the right retaining parts on, there's no leakages, there's no drop in pressure, they're the right weight, we change the seal, we'll make sure that they're going to function in the event of a fire and you do use them. And we make sure that they're always sited in the right place, because you do change time to time. You'll put a wall up, the room won't be used for something. It might be now be an IT studio, and instead of that it's going to be a kitchen. Things change. So with the experts going out every year, we find these situations and go, all right, you need another one, you've got too many. So when you constantly move around, because businesses change all the time. So if you have a maintenance contract and the professionals come out, they should tell you what needs to be done and where. So it's just one less stress. Sponsored by Crusader Fire, which is a fire safety specialist within the northeast of England, but eventually will be the whole country. If you want to find us, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, X, and TikTok. So just jump on, search for either Safety Sparks Podcast or Crusader Fire. We'll put all the links below in the description. So if you want any question answered, please put as many in as you can, because we will answer as many questions as possibly can, and the best question will get a free service. I'm Johnny, and this is the Safety Sparks Podcast. So you'll see me every month. So if you've got anything in between now and then, please reach out on one of the channels. And thanks for watching.